Hello. So I pulled this one off the shelf. Do you recognize the front cover? Because it doesn't say the artist's name anywhere on that cover. But if you're a fan of the artist, I'm sure you know. So it's kind of like a, how would you describe that? A kind of a Pink Floyd-ish, Pink Floyd-esque cover. Like I can imagine Pink Floyd having that as a cover, maybe. Actually, maybe not. But anyway, it is Muse album Black Holes and Revelations, which came out, I believe, in 2006. Yes. This is an album that I bought brand new at the time, back in 2006. Actually, it was a time of great flux in my life. It was one of the occasions in which I sold off a large chunk of my old CD collection. I've talked about all this stuff before about how I've bought and rebought CDs over the years multiple times, and there are kind of a few events where I sold off or had CDs stolen or something. But in this case, I was moving overseas for a job, and so I was getting rid of a lot of my belongings, and so I sold pretty much all of the CDs that I could, and DVDs, because at this time DVDs were a thing. And I got a bunch of cash, not that much, but I got some cash, but also some store credit. And so I remember 2 CDs I bought. I can remember 2 of them. May have been one more though. There was, actually, now I remember. I can remember 3 CDs I bought. So I don't know how many CDs I sold. It would have been maybe over 100. No, actually, probably definitely over 100. And however much cash I got. I remember I did it half and half. So they offer you such and such cash or such and such store credit in trade for your CDs. And I said, well, can I do half and half? So maybe I got a couple of $100 cash and a couple of $100 store credit. I can't actually remember the figures at the time, but I remember the 3 CDs I bought with store credit were Muse, Black Holes and Revelations, Arcticus, the Norwegian prog metal-ish band. I can't remember which album it was by Arcticus. The one that has Space Hibernation as the first song. And oops, I just knocked off the camera, which is sitting on top of a candle. The third was it was just my bloody brain now that knocking off made me forget. The third was Ben Gibbard's side project, the Postal Service. The Postal Service. Is it Give Up? Gave Up? Give Up. I can't remember the name of the album. Jeez, I've done a video about the album. It's one of my album I love and I've listened to a lot. But anyway, the Postal Service. They've only made one album, so whatever that was. Gave Up. I think it's Gave Up, isn't it? Anyway, so when I think of 2006, the middle, it was about this time as well. It was around mid-July, August. I was preparing to kind of sell up everything and move overseas to work. It was in Japan, actually. This album is kind of part of those memories, as is that Postal Service one. I really used to like Muse a lot. I was a big fan of Muse. And I still do like Muse, but I'd say my fandom has diminished quite dramatically. It's kind of one of those bands. There are a few of those. You know, I did a video about Korn the other day, and they have a kind of a similar level for me, where at one point I was absolutely obsessed with Korn. Well, there was a point where I wouldn't say obsessed with Muse, but I really, really liked them a lot. But nowadays I barely listen to them. And it's just not even a band I even really think of. And that's strange. And it's not as though I listen to their music and go, oh, this is shit. Maybe music has less of an effect on me as it used to do, but they're still a good band and they've still got some good stuff. But yeah, it's kind of strange. So this is, I'd say, maybe, I don't know, I was going to say, was it their commercial peak? It probably, well, maybe a commercial peak, because 2006 albums weren't selling as well, but let's say their peak of popularity in the popular consciousness, I'd say was probably this album. Before this came Absolution, which I made a video about, and before that was Origin of Symmetry. But I'd say those three albums, and maybe The Resistance, which came after this. So that would be about from 2001 through to about 2008-ish. Yeah, I'd say that this kind of in the middle of that, I'd say this was their most successful period. It's when Matt Bellamy was in a relationship with Kate Hudson, you know, was Hollywood starlet. So this album in particular, so I got this, I just said, I've been blabbing on, haven't I? I sold that new one that I got back in 2006. I can't remember when I sold it. Or maybe I didn't sell it. Maybe I think I still have the disc in one of those, folders, but I threw the case away. But anyway, sometime over the last 4 years, I picked up a secondhand copy for either $1 or $2. I can't actually remember exactly, but can't even remember where. But it is definitely secondhand. And here is the artwork. So there's kind of like almost like a Martian landscape, but it's probably filmed in a desert somewhere. But then they have this kind of planet that again looks like Mars. And then we have the CD itself, which is just plain white. If you look, it has a very, you can't really see, the camera doesn't pick it up. It does say Muse there, but it's white on white. You can, if you kind of tilt it, you can kind of see the reflection of the different, oh, there we go, that shows up, doesn't it? Muse. And then you've got this kind of calligraphy type writing, Black Holes and Revelations. So the first single off this album was Supermassive Black Hole. And to be honest, when I first heard that song, I wasn't that enamored. I didn't really think much of it. But then over time, I came to like it more. It's actually the album has a flow to it. And I was going to say a well-constructed album as a whole. So Take a Bow starts off, and it's like starts off with a synth, like this repeated, and then Matt Bellamy is singing. What you can see the lyrics there: "Corrupt, you corrupt, and bring corruption to all that you touch." And then gradually, as the song goes, it kind of builds and builds. The synth line kind of changes a bit, and then the rest of the instruments come in, like the bass and guitar and the drums, and it kind of crescendos to this massive, like, even before the crescendo, it kind of builds up and does this kind of real, like the guitar line he uses. I don't even know the word you'd really describe to what the effect they're doing there, but kind of it builds to one crescendo, and then at the end of the song it builds to a second crescendo. But a very, very good introduction, as good as an introduction gets for an album. And I mean that I'm not saying it's the greatest song in the world or anything, but it is a great way to start an album. The way that it kind of starts off very small and then builds, and it has a first song feeling about it, if you know what I mean. Sometimes first songs kind of sounds like it's like the opening of the book or the beginning of the conversation, and that's how this song feels. And then it goes into Starlight, which I believe was a single. Now, the first time I heard that song, I really liked it, and when I listen to it now, I don't like it. as simply as I can say it. Like I said, at the time when this album came out, I was leaving, and so therefore I was going through quite a lot of emotional turmoil, in that I was leaving my life behind. and certain people. And so the lyrics of this really spoke to me. Far away, the ship has taken me far away from the memories of the people who care if I live or die. And he's kind of singing it to a girl, it sounds like, or to a love interest of some sort. Hold you in my arms, I just wanted to hold you in my arms. So therefore, as kind of embarrassing and cringy as that sounds, that song kind of spoke to me on an emotional level back in 2006. But like I said, when I listen to it now, quite the opposite. I just don't like that song for some reason now. To the point where I feel I've got to skip it. Maybe I have negative emotional connotations to it, and that's why, I'm not sure. But then we go on, and we get to which I was talking about, the first single, Supermassive Black Hole. Now, that song was also used in the first Twilight movie, which was the only Twilight movie I saw of that series. So my girlfriend at the time, this was after 2006, this would have been later in the 2010s. My girlfriend at the time, this was back in New Zealand, she really liked Twilight, and she read all the books, and then she watched the movies, and then she made me, and when I say made me, like literally made me, as in like if I didn't do it, she would have gone on in a bad mood with me. She was kind of like that. She was that kind of person where there's a few things I remember, memories in our relationship, where she would kind of sulk or throw a tantrum if I didn't consume some sort of media, like a movie or a book that she wanted. That relationship ended, but I associate this song now with watching Twilight. And the scene in the Twilight movie, when they play the song, is really, really kind of stupid. They're playing baseball, like this vampire family, whatever, the main guy, Edward, I believe is his name, played by Robert Pattinson. They're playing, him and his family, the vampires, are playing a game of baseball. I can't remember who they're playing against, but it's just absolutely ludicrous. Like I remember, kind of laughing to myself watching the movie. That might have actually annoyed my my ex-girlfriend as well when I did that. I can't remember, but it did seem at the time absolutely ludicrous. But that song's an interesting song. It's quite different when you think about it. Like he uses a very kind of high falsetto on parts of it. Oh baby, don't you know? What's up with that one? And then it kind of comes down, but it doesn't have, the chorus isn't like a typical chorus. Like it's got a chorus, but it's not like the song almost kind of keeps the same plateau of energy throughout, and it doesn't go to the chorus and kind of bump it up like most songs do. It kind of just stays as it is. But it's certainly different and original. But again, not the kind of song I'd sit down and listen to now. And a memory I have of that, speaking of, I was moving to Japan at that time. When I was in Japan, one of my co-workers was this British guy, Oliver. He was a good guy. And he really liked Muse as well. And I remember we went to me and my workmates went to a karaoke bar, or not a karaoke bar, it's like in Japan, they don't have karaoke bars, they have like karaoke, what do you even call it? Karaoke rooms, where you kind of hire the room for you and your friends. You don't do it publicly with other people, you just do it with your mates. We were in a karaoke room, drinking, because those two things go together, and he decided he wanted to sing Supermassive Black Hole, which was ambitious, because it's not the kind of song you can pull off the average layman, to get that kind of those high notes. And that's a memory I have of that as well. Then we go to the map of the Problematic, which is a good song. I actually quite enjoy that song, but I don't have as many memories and associations with it. Soldier's Poem is kind of a quiet song, almost like an acoustic song, I believe. It starts off with just the acoustic guitar and maybe almost like drums played with brushes. And it's obviously of that time where the soldiers being sent to war for a dubious cause, or maybe an out-and-out lie. Throw it away, let's lose ourselves because there's no one left for us to blame. The last line, there's no justice in the world and there never was. And the way he sings it, very Freddie Mercury delivery. If you listen to that song, the last kind of 30 seconds of it, the way Matthew Bellamy delivers that line of "There's no justice in the world, and there never was." Maybe it's not Freddie Mercury delivery. Maybe it's just Queen production, because Muse are a band that sometimes are compared to Queen. The theatricality of the music, and Matt Bellamy's ability to go high. No, his voice is nowhere near as strong as Freddie Mercury's, but he has a range. Invincible, not a fan of that song really. Even thinking now in my mind, going through the different parts of the song, I never really liked it. There they are. So it's coming in the names of the guys. There's Matt Bellamy, the singer, guitarist, and pianist sometimes. One of them's called Dominic. And one of them's called, I think the drummer's Dominic. I can't remember the bassist's name. I'll have a look and see in the liner notes at the back when we get to it. There's three good run of songs: Assassin, Exopolitics, City of Delusion. Good midsection for an album. Then we come to the, I think, last two. Yes, last two. Hoodoo, and then Knights of Sidonia, which really is, oh, there we go, Dominic Howard, that's a Chris Wolstenholme. Knights of Sidonia is, like I was talking about, people compare them to Queen, and the kind of the over the top theatricality, or the almost kind of like the ridiculousness of their music sometimes. And Knights of Sidonia kind of is a great illustration of that. Starts off with the sound effect of galloping horses and lasers, like when I imagine it's kind of like horses galloping but being chased by spaceships or something like that, or robots riding horses, and then it kind of does almost like a who does those, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly spaghetti western soundtracks? Is that Morricone? Ennio Morricone? Is that? Or another Italian composer? Anyway, the guy who does all that, that kind of stuff. It has that kind of feel to it, because they're using vocals to make the tune, or the melody, whatever you want to call it. And then in one part, they kind of build it, and then on the kind of the second or third run, what sounds like Matt Bellamy, because it's like a super high voice, and it might be paired together with a guitar, like doing the same note on the guitar, going wah, 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 wah. Like they're making the tune with his voice, but at a really high thing. And then once it gets through that very long intro, it is a very long intro, it gets to the lyrics. Come ride with me through the veins of history. I'll show you a God who fell asleep on a job. Really kind of, what's the word? The imagery of the lyrics really suit the sound, I think. Like very kind of grand and big, and so a great opening and great ending to the album. And then we get to the liner notes at the end. Co-produced by Rich Costly, and that'd be funny, isn't it? Costly producer. And Muse, engineered by Rich Costly, mixed by Rich Costly. I've heard of Rich Costly. What has he done? He's done something else that I've talked about recently, I'm sure. That name rings a bell. Where did they record this? Or did they do it in England, or in recorded in at Miraval Studios? Okay, that's France. Avatar Studios, New York. Electric Ladyland, New York. Office Micicini in Milan, and Townhouse Studios, London. So they've done it all over the place. And yeah. So if there's thanks to Cliff Bernstein and Peter Mensch. Those are the guys from Q Prime Management, who are also the managers of Metallica. And the reason I know them is because they feature in the Metallica documentary, Some Kind of Monster. There was anyone else? Perry Watts Russell. He, I'm pretty sure, is a big A&R guy at Capitol Records. And the reason I know him is because he features in the documentary about Dandy Warhols and the Brian Jonestown massacre. He might not be at Capitol at this time. That was in the late 90s. He might have jumped ship to someone else. Seeing if I recognize any other names. Tony Duncan, Hugh Manson, Jacqueline Brown. In memory of Helen Kirk, from 81 to 2005. So she died quite young. That's quite sad, isn't it? Only 24. Don't know who Helen Kirk is, but maybe he was a fan or a family member. And so, yeah, that is the album. So as I go through it, like I'm talking about, I kind of get excited about it. I think, oh yeah, that's actually that song is good, or that part is good. But then, like I said, it just kind of never occurs to me to listen to Muse. And then even the songs that I really used to love, like the Muse song that, if someone asked me, what's your favorite Muse song? And the song that kind of automatically clicks into my brain, I say is Bliss from Origin of Symmetry. And I used to absolutely love that song. It used to do something to my brain, and that it created this sound of a particular time of my childhood. And it kind of reminded me so much of those 1980s sci-fi TV shows, cheaply made TV shows that were shown in the afternoon when I was a kid. And just the song itself was a great song. But then now if I listen, I haven't listened to it for a while, to be honest, but if I listen to it, I feel like it doesn't have the same effect on me. It's almost just kind of like, does nothing for me. Newborn, which is another one, which is the opener of Origin of Symmetry. I used to absolutely love that song. And it's strange how usually that doesn't, I guess actually that's not true. There are other bands that's done it too. But to go from music being seemingly so important and so kind of, I like so much, to kind of just being, oh yeah, it's good, but not really anything beyond that. After this, like I said, they released, not Origin, there was Resistance, and then I think what was the one, the laws of thermodynamics or something like that? No, the second law. I think it's called the second law. I might be mixing up Newtonian terms there. And those two albums are pretty good as well, but I never really went super deep into them. Then after that, anything they've released since the second law, I haven't listened to anything at all, I think. Maybe just like listening to one or two songs, and again, that's not because I purposely avoid it. It's just kind of like one of those bands where you just like, there's just so much music in the world and there's not enough time to listen to everything. And to be honest, some of the reviews that I saw of their latest stuff weren't too complimentary. Not that really matters, because a lot of stuff I listen to gets bad reviews, and you listen to it and you like it. Yeah, I saw them live in concert in 2013 in Seoul, Korea. They were playing at a festival, it was a 2-day festival. They were the first night headliners. The second night was Metallica, and they put on a really great live show. Some of those songs I just talked, like Knights of Sidonia and Bliss and things like that, done live in that kind of a huge kind of, it was played at the Olympic Stadium in Seoul, so a massive kind of stadium show, really work well in that environment. And I came away from that concert, happy I'd gone. And I am happy I got to see them live. But the one song that really sticks out is that song, Survive, either Survive or Survival. Again, a really interesting song. Kind of starts off with kind of almost like uses vocal instrumentation. But again, it kind of builds it up. A great chorus. And that's the thing, this band can write really good music. Anyway, a lot of blabbing as usual, but overall, just like talking about and thinking about just then, I think that's actually a great album. But then, if I listen to it, I don't know, would I feel the same way? I'm not sure. I'm going to put it on after I finish this video. I'm going to put it on. There's no one home right now. Today I worked early in the morning. I finished around lunchtime, and then our outdoor drain has been blocked. The gully trap. And so a plumber came and unblocked it, and there's roots growing into the drain, unfortunately, which needs to be remedied. And why was I even mentioning this? There was a point. There was a connection to Muse. Anyway, my wife has gone to do something and I'm still here. Oh, that's right, because I was waiting for the plumber to finish and my wife had to leave. So therefore, it's just me. And so therefore, it's a opportune time to A, make a video like I'm doing right now, and B, listen to some music. And so I'm going to put on Muse and listen to this and see, what does it give me? What do I give it? Do I owe the music anything? Sometimes you feel like you owe the music something. Maybe not the music, but the artist. I've talked about that before, where sometimes I feel like, sometimes I see bands that I used to really like, and maybe I don't like as much, but if I see they're doing well, or they're still kind of going along, I kind of feel like proud of them, or like happy that it's like seeing an old girlfriend. And even though maybe the romance is gone, you are happy that she's living a good life. And to be honest, I feel that way about most of my past relationships. I don't have any negative feelings. And the same with most music. There's no bands I look at and think, fuck you. Why are you doing so well? The Chili Peppers, do I think about that? So I saw you might have seen the closing ceremony of the Olympics, and don't want to start talking about that. But there was a lot of French musical performances by some bands and artists who I really love. And they also did some cross to America, to LA, because the next Olympics are in LA. And of course, one of the representations of LA is the goddamn Red Hot Chili Peppers. And they're a band that I'm sick to death of. And I kind of, I'm not rooting for their downfall or anything like that. But when I see them, I'm just like, ugh, these guys. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.